everybody. Will here with this month's edition of the Coach's Corner, brought to you by Canine Chronicle TV. And I think George is in a mood, so buckle up, Buttercups.
Coach's Corner with Will Alexander and George Alston. Brought to you by Pro Plan and Canine Chronicle.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Coach's Corner with the coach himself, George Alston. Hey, George, how's it going, Pops?
It's going great. It's going great. I got a phone call yesterday that my heart procedure worked out well and everything. The Watchman's in price, and it took me off of my blood thinners. And I was a little nervous there for a while, but you can't keep an old guy down.
Well, no matter what people say, I've always known you've had a huge heart. So,
Okay, you may not feel that way when I start off today.
I'm ready. Buckle up, everybody. I think he's in a mood.
Yeah, I'm in a mood. Normally I teach positively. I'm going to teach negatively today. And it probably is because of this new internet thing. The AKC allows me to sit there and watch dog shows.
Oh, AKC TV. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, AKC TV, and I'm sitting here and I'm going absolutely nuts. Normally, I'm able to go to one dog show a year. It was right here in Salisbury, and I go down and I throw up and I come back. So, but anyway, what really got me is people that put chain of a chain choke, especially the fine piano wire chain chokes, on a dog, making it look like maybe it's a loose lead and they're pulling up and they're turning the dog's head sideways. The dog's sidewinding like crazy, and it's a breed that doesn't need a choke.
Right.
You get a breed like an English Cocker, for instance. You don't need a piano wire choke to yank the dog around.
No, they
And
were always to me. They were always directional breeds. I always used a Resco on them.
oh, I always, well, or if I wanted a loose lead, I would use a piano wire choke, excuse me, a nylon choke, such as this. I had a lady in Maine that would make these for me, and they're made out of parachute cord, and she would pull the parachute cord inside back and forth a couple times, and it would make them round instead of flat. I had probably 50 or 60 of these in my tack box, all different sizes
Yeah.
and different colors and whatever. And they're soft on the dog's neck. And it it just bothers me. I watched a whippet the guy had on a chain. I watched a Pharaoh hound on a chain. I watched a um, greyhound on a chain. Richard, the three greatest greyhound and whippet handlers of all time: Tom Gately, Bob Forsyth, and Richard Bauer. And they rolled over in their graves. You don't use a chain on a thin skinned hound. I would never. I only used a chain on an Irish setter because they have a thin skin. One time did I use a chain on an Irish setter, and that was Marquis, and that was in self defense.
Well, that's a more fired up breed too. Sometimes they need that direction. So
Well, this is true. Marquis was really fired up on that thing.
I remember.
Other than that, I always use nylon. There's no reason to yank a dog around one way or the other. I watched this English cocker go down and back, and that handler yanked that dog off its front feet 3 times on the down and back. And there's no need for that. You do that for a couple of months, that dog's going to quit on you.
Yeah, especially English Cocker. So,
But I watched a young assistant handler that just jumped all over and yanked her dog one way, the other, up and down, sideways, hard handed on it. In the old days, judges would throw you out of the ring if you did it. I watched Percy Roberts throw 2 people out of the ring in the boxer ring. I watched Tip Tipton throw somebody out of the ring. I watched Lang Scarta throw somebody out of the ring.
oh, he would. There's no question he would.
Who, Lang Scarta?
Lang, yeah.
Oh, in a heartbeat. You don't do things like that. You know, you have to remember dogs are folks. They're not things. You have to become part of their personality. And it just drives me crazy when I see these handlers that just manhandle them. They're standing there. I watched a fella showing a German short hair. He's got his dog stacked. His right foot was 1 foot or 6 inches in front of his front leg, and his left foot was behind the dog. I mean, he looked like he was going to jump on top of the dog, and he's yanking the dog and yanking him and smacking him because the dog's not standing still. The dog doesn't know what the hell he wants. It, and then they go and they gate their dogs with their leads dangling. These are
Oh, you mean out of their hand? Yeah,
out of their hand, and
yeah.
you get these are supposedly professionals. They have won best in shows and whatever. Their dogs have won best in shows in spite of their stupidity and their antics and whatever. When I worked for Jane Forsyth, she caught me one time showing a dog my lead was dangling, and she made me walk around all week long with the lead in my hand rolled up. And if I had to walk to the other end of the kennel, I had to roll it down or roll it back up again. I had a rock on the end of it. And so I learned real quick. Dougie Holloway came to work for me. I caught him with dangling lead. I made him do the same thing. You never saw him dangle a lead after that,
No,
you know. And
it's a pet peeve of mine as well.
but these people that think they're putting the dog on a loose lead, and they put the lead up high on the neck, and then they wrap it down underneath, and back up with this, and then yank it sideways. Their dogs are turned sideways like that. When I was a kid, I went when I went to Madison Square Garden in juniors, and I went best junior. The judge was Hollis Wilson, and he said, "Young fella, you're showing a dog on a leather French choke. There's only 2 people I've ever seen that ever was able to do that successfully. One was Phil Marsh, was known for that, and the other one was Frank Adams, a boxer handler from the Washington, D.C. area. Where did you learn how to do that?" I said, Frank Adams took me underneath his wing when I was 12 or 13 and taught me how to show a dog on a loose lead on a leather martingale. I had that leather martingale in my tack box, and I had it up until a couple of years ago. I went to look for it to show everybody today. It's been stolen. It's
Oh,
gone.
geez.
It's got to be 70 years old, for God's
Well,
sake.
that would have been cool to see it. Yeah.
I mean, I used it for my whole. Now, I found that I had a difficult with a martingale or a French choke. Uh, that if it was down on the bottom of the neck, that was fine. But I
Yeah, I
had,
wasn't even, excuse me for a second. I wasn't even aware that a martingale was called a French choke.
oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
the
See,
original
we learn
term.
something every day.
Hey, we all learn something every day.
Yeah.
If you don't learn something every day, it was. But anyway, they people just. I watch professionals do a figuresse down and back. You would think that they would learn how to walk on a straight line. And you, Vince Lombardi had one of his writings. He said, "You don't do things right once in a while. You don't do things right every other time. You do things correctly every single time if you want to be any good." Just to show everybody what my motto was.
Raise
Is,
it up so we can all see it. Raise it up, George.
is that
Great things are accomplished only by the perfection of minor details. I start my seminars with that. And I
that
give
was
you credit.
that was on my wall my whole career. And people forget this. But damn it, stop hard handing the dogs. I watched an assistant covering the dog for their handler that they were working for, and the handler had a physical problem and couldn't show this particular dog. And that assistant just manhandled that dog. And it was a crime. And and then I saw it again, the same assistant at another show do
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. That handler should be jumping all over that young person.
Yep. It's the only way they're gonna learn. They're gonna either get set down for doing that or they're gonna learn from their employer. So
By the way, that Irish setter that's in the background, is that the one Elliot Weiss did?
that's Elliot Weiss's. Yeah, that's Elliot's. And there's Tally's right behind me.
That's Tally.
Tally. And
Yeah.
there's Chance again up there.
You got some great Irish setter pieces there, boy.
And I do. And thanks to you and some of them, that's for sure.
Well, and then I thought Elsie did a great job on that dog.
Yeah, that's Dennis, masterpiece on the go. So
Yeah, it's a shame that the statue is a little better than the dog was.
we won't go into that.
And but anyway, you know, I'm going to run down some names of some handlers that. that- Let's start with Dick Cooper.
Okay.
You never saw Dick Cooper manhandle a dog.
Oh
You never
God,
saw
no. He
him
was so
try
soft.
right, so soft-handed and whatever. You never saw him drag a lead. You never saw him run crooked or whatever down and back. Same thing with George Ward. You never
Yeah.
saw George Ward with terriers. Ricky. You never saw Ricky do it. Bobby Fischer. You never saw him. Bobby Bobby Fischer and Phil Marsh were so great they could set the front end up of a dog I don't care what size dog it was, and they never put their hands on the front legs. Did you know that?
Guided in. Yeah.
You never saw, but they would do it from their shoulders with their hands on their shoulders.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him do that. That's
But
really good how they do that.
Bobby Fischer was a magician when he was showing Rowdy Red. You never saw him do anything.
Yeah.
But he had such soft hands. He was never hard-handed. You t- you take okay, so that is one. Same thing with um, oh, Janie Forsythe. You never saw her manhandle. Bob Forsythe, Mike Billings, Annie Clark. None of them. None of them were hard-handed on a dog. None of them would take a dog and yank the lead underneath and then yank it straight up sideways. Janie Forsythe, she would go ballistic in the ring if you did that. I watched her go crazy on people that would do that in her ring. On the younger side, you get a Scott Summer, great handler, best in show at the Garden twice.
Yeah.
Great young student of the of showing dogs. You never saw him lose his cool with the dog.
Oh, I hope he's watching this because he'd love that he's a young student still.
Huh?
I hope Scott's watching this because he'd love that you called him a young student still.
Well, not Scott. There's a story about Scott Summer when Dougie Holloway was working for me. We were on the Florida circuit, and we had gone best in show, and we were the last ones off the showgrounds. And there was a kid sitting on top of a crate, and he was feeling sorry for himself and sort of trying to cry. So we stopped, and we asked him what was wrong, and he says, "Well, the guy he came down from Long Island with took off and left with some woman and left him there.
Oh,
So we
no.
so we piled this kid into the truck, and he worked his way the whole Florida circuit, and uh, he uh, he learned a lot about taking care of dogs and about life and whatever. And then Dougie and I went and talked to the guy at the last show to make sure that the kid was going to get back to Long Island okay, or that Dougie and I were going to go visit him, which he didn't want that to happen. And about 10 years later, this young fella comes up to me at Madison Square Garden. He says, "Do you remember a nice, tall, good looking kid?" He says, "Mr. Alston," he says, "do you remember me? I'm that little fat kid that was on the crate down in Florida crying with Scott Summer working for
Yeah.
Mike Kemp." And Scott has never forgotten that we picked him up and took him on that whole circuit and fed him and gave him a bed and the whole thing. So,
Well, he sure turned out great, Scott. Scott
oh
was a
yeah, he
master.
did. But then you never saw Jane Myers get flustered on a dog
Oh,
or
God, no. Can you imagine Janie doing that? I can't imagine.
there's no way. I mean, you watch her show that Clumber Spaniel she went best in the garden with. A Clumber Spaniel is a clumsy dog. She made it look like it was athletic. You
Yep.
know,
Brady, yeah.
Brady, that's the way he was. Woody Wardle, great pair of hands on a dog. Never got flustered. Never. I mean, I watched these so-called professional handlers. I watched one guy set his dog's front up 4 times before the judge got there, and he never got it right. Never got it right. That one assistant fixed the dog's left front leg up, I think 5 or 6 times. It kept putting it down, and it kept going. It kept putting it down with the toes pointing towards each other, not getting it done right. And it's just something that it frustrates me because I love the profession so much, and it frustrates me when I see somebody with a dog that has tremendous potential that could be out there winning best in shows, and they're screwing it up.
Oh,
Okay,
I always find
I'm off my soapbox now.
that's that's a good lesson though, because it's amazing how many people overhandle their dogs and don't trust their dogs to do the right thing. Because left to their own devices, dogs usually do the right thing. We just have to adjust the odd little leg or head position, and they're done. That's what I find. Work smarter, not harder. So,
Well, here's one little tip that was taught to me by Frank Adams when I was 13 years old, and he said, when you show a dog on a loose lead, your arm should be straight out. Get the dog as far away as you can from him. Do not use your wrist or your hand to correct your dog. Move your whole body. In other words, if you want the dog to go to the left a little bit, you move your whole body to the left a little bit, but your hand still stays way out in front.
right.
Oh, I mean, out to the side, and your body moves. You don't want the small muscles to work. You want the big muscles to work. And it was something that there's a video of me showing Winslow the foxhound that's on YouTube. Um, that you can see me doing that. I think one of the most perfect uh, uh, that I have ever seen was when Kazu Saka showed Sage the mini poodle at the garden on that loose lead. And it was something that I taught him 30 years ago. And I thought I called him on the phone and I said, "Cause," I said, "that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely perfect." And
It was a performance for the decade, that's for sure.
oh,
The ages,
absolutely, you could see where the dog started to fade in one direction, and he did not move his hand; he moved his whole body. And it instead of doing this with his wrist, which you see the stupid people do. I love that word stupid.
I know you have for years. Don't
Okay,
have a
buddy.
bowl full of stupid for breakfast.
I think that gets me off this thing that I've been running off at the mouth a little bit, but I wish
Well,
I wish the hell I would love to go and um, tell people or grab them by the back of the neck and shake them. But they say, you old toad, you know, what do you know? You know, so that's it. Oh,
hopefully it's a
by the
lesson
way,
learned. Yeah,
they've got to remember dogs are folks. Please remember, dogs are folks.
they sure are. All right,
Thank you,
George.
Brett.
Well, thanks. Great to see you, Pops, and we'll be back next month.
Okay.
Thanks, George. Great lesson, and we'll see everybody next month.
And this year, with her strong athletic build, her fluid gait, and her confidence in the ring, the Beagle by the name of Miss P became the ninth.
The best in show is the Beagle.
Congrats, Miss P, on winning the 139th Westminster Best in Show.